come on back to Graceland for one of the most fun holiday movies of the season. Caitlin Doubleday and Adrian Grenier star with Priscilla Presley.
Welcome, everyone.
It's so magical.
Isn't that what home's supposed to be like?
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is a movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching, and the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. Really hope you enjoyed last week's interview with filmmaker. He does it all, directing, writing, producing, and he even started in special effects, which was really neat to hear that. It's nowhere on his IMDb, so it's always neat when you hear those stories. And I'm talking Dustin Riccardi. Dustin worked on The Road Rules, making the mask for the Roadmaster, which I don't remember that on Road Rules, but it was played by Rainn Wilson. So it was Jamie, remember that? So it was a really cool behind the scenes thing. We talked about his beginnings in filmmaking, his time at USC, how he's knocking on doors, doing whatever to be able to get a movie made. Started in horror, and then he connected with Hallmark, and now through his production company, whether he's producing, directing, writing, 6 to 8 movies a year, he's crushing it. He has a few movies coming out. One's called Finish, the other one's Christmas Touchdown. What I'll do is I'll put the links in the episode notes, but one's coming out December 1st, the other one's on November 30th. So I'll have all in the episode notes, so you be sure to check it out. And he just produced this week's sequel that there's going to be I don't know if there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot to talk about nothing, because the story, the lack of like character development and dialogue. Before I mention anything more about Christmas in Graceland 2, Home for the Holidays, which topped out at 80 minutes. 80-minute movie. I got to introduce you to my partner in this sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how are you?
I kind of feel like a turkey watching this movie. And for those that can't, are just listening and not watching, I'm wearing a turkey hat for 2 reasons. One, Thanksgiving's coming up. But 2, this movie, I've never seen a Hallmark movie before. And
Me neither.
Okay. I imagine every single Hallmark plot is basically the movie we just watched. I think the plot is the same. There was no conflict in the entire movie until the last 5 minutes. And you said the movie is 88 minutes?
80.
80. Okay. So if you take out all the montages, the songs, the musical
What do you mean, the
numbers,
montage of the front of the house? And the front of Owen's house, we see the same shot.
Listen, these characters, any chance they had a chance to sing a song or a carol, they did, you'd be down about 50 minutes. So it would be even shorter. And that's what made the movie so long. But I've never seen a movie where and especially when you have children in like the families, there's always one child that's a brat that just doesn't get along with anybody. Everybody gets along in this movie. Like, everybody.
Yeah.
Like there was no conflict. I mean, you had siblings that just loved each other so much. And then you have neighbors' kids and they loved each other so much. It was like just love all around. It was oh my gosh. And then again, the conflict was the last 5 minutes. So I mean, there's definitely a lot of questions. And this movie basically had the most beautiful people like ever that lived in one town. But to start the movie off, and this is a winter, movie, I've never been to Graceland, and I'm not saying it doesn't snow in Graceland, but I don't think it snows that much. And,
I don't think so either.
And I think if it does snow, it's rare. Like it doesn't snow a lot. This was like literally a winter wonderland. Like, I mean, as if it's like happens every year.
There's probably a lot of instant potatoes. There's probably a lot of fake snow that they had to use. There's a lot of questions. There's definitely a lot of questions in this movie, and not questions out of the fact of like, hey, what'd you think of this? It's like questions for like if shout out to my wife who's a middle school English teacher. If you had a kid like read a story and be like, okay, what was this from that story? So what did Owen's me? what did they do?
Who? Owen? Who's Owen?
Owen's company that he owned that he was trying to get the money.
Okay.
What did they actually do?
I don't know.
The only thing they said was a metaphor.
Okay.
There was a metaphor. That was it.
Okay. I have no idea what he sells. Because all I know is he sells something that he gave away for free at the end of the movie. Right? Doesn't he give it? He goes,
Yeah.
Everybody gets a free.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he sells. I honestly have no idea what his company does because the size of the house that he lives in is massive. Like it's massive. So I don't know. I don't know. I and maybe they mentioned. I'm sure they probably mentioned the movie, and I just didn't pay attention. But do you know what he does for a living? Is the pharmaceutical something?
So now I can give you. I can give you. Yeah, it was medical, but the way he described it was there was a sea of information, of medical information out there, a giant sea of it. But we're gonna just make it easier for everyone to get to it. But that was it. No talking about like, hey, it's like this software. It's like this
I know what he's doing. He's creating Google.
Google.
he's
but in
the
that
creator.
house, like it sounds like it's a startup. It's a startup idea. He started with his buddy. It sounds like they have no sales, no nothing. They're just like getting venture capitalists, getting investors. But somehow he lives in a mansion.
Wait, he lives in the company. Looks like it's just him and his friend that do Zoom in the middle of the kitchen. Like
there's a few other people. Nobody else that has lines. Yeah.
Okay. Listen. You know what? I don't even know if they work for the same company. He could have been renting an office space because like he didn't interact with anybody else but his buddy. The donors are so quick to like double their amount. Which at the end of the movie, the one guy doubles the amount that he was originally giving. I don't think that really happens because he didn't even want to do the original amount. Yet at the end of the movie, he wants to double it. I mean, like it's so ridiculous. There's no
just
way.
Because they said a 3-minute speech from the heart versus no cards.
Well, between that and the singing, I mean, that touched a lot of hearts. The kids singing too.
Yeah. The speech was okay, but then when it was like, oh, our country music superstar coming from Nashville got caught in the snowstorm. Oh, he was only 3 minutes late. They did one song.
Not even 3 minutes. And so wait, so you have these big donors here that are probably excited to see the big country star. So instead, let's have my au pair sing. And my children who sing off key. That's going to make up for everybody, for everybody coming there. Let me ask you this. I mean, obviously this is a Graceland and they were doing, she was doing some kind of exhibit for Elvis. She has a close relationship with Lisa Marie like that to go there.
Yeah. Well, Priscilla. Oh,
I'm sorry. Lisa Marie. Yeah, Priscilla. So she has a close relationship to like decorate the trees with Priscilla.
That was weird. That was a weird thing. She worked there in high school, she said. And then every time she come home, she'd do tours. Again, so we're talking about Harper, right? So she becomes an au pair in this movie for a little bit. She works at museums all around the world.
Wait, what do you mean a little bit? She's au pair the whole movie.
Well, a little bit, and she's sleeping on the couch for a little bit, which
okay. His spare house, his guest house is bigger than my house and your house combined.
Yeah, it's insane.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah, so she does all these different jobs, au pair, museum, like we hear all these jobs that she has, but there's never mention of money. So she takes this job as the au pair, no mention of money. And I wonder if all the Hallmark movies are that, because again, I thought they were more tropey. I thought it was going to be more like, oh, if you get this job in London, because the whole premise of this movie, which we're going to go all over the place, because this movie is 80 minutes. It's not that much. But Harper, I thought she was a great actress. I've never seen her in anything else. Maybe she's in other stuff. Easy on the eyes, good singing voice. Like I think she could be in other like type of like comedies or other roles.
Sure.
But no mention of money at all. And to me, that was when I was like, wait, she can't sleep on this couch just because Steve's parents are coming here to like a week early. She can't sleep on the couch. Then she like accepts this invite from a stranger?
So I was just gonna get there. Does Harper's sister know him or no? She doesn't know him at all.
No.
Okay.
No, the person that
So-
got her. Yeah.
Yeah. So he is trusting a stranger immediately with his children and living in his house. Doesn't know a thing about her, and he's
he knows the
first of
lady
all-
at the museum. The lady at the museum who seems like she has the most important job, but she's like, "Oh, Harper, I wish I had that idea."
Okay. So we're gonna be jumping around like you said because it's not a lot going on. The interview process at the museum. They interview in the middle of the museum when people are walking around, while people are looking at exhibits, and then the second interview, which is like the bigger interview. They're walking around the museum interviewing there. Like there's no office. They literally interview as people are walking by, listening and trying to concentrate on the art and whatever they're looking at. And they have to hear the conversation that's going on of the interview that's going on.
Do you imagine being in the biggest job interview of your life and it's in a public place and then some guy's just like, that is why I think
That's so ridiculous. So here's probably one of the biggest questions I have. What do you think the time frame is from the minute she started working for them to like
it's 2 weeks. That's the line at the end of the movie. It's he says, "This has been the best 2 weeks, and I never thought I'd feel this way again." Which again, he forgets about his dead wife. When they talk about the dead wife, I'm like, this is like heartbreaking. It's a day.
Okay. Well, it's been 3 years. I mean, so it's not really a day. I mean, but the point is, this was a dream job for her to go to work at this museum in London. And she had a dilemma from a guy she met for 2 weeks.
She was going to throw everything away.
She did. But so not only that, at that point, when she was given that choice of going to London for her dream job, she wasn't even dating him yet. Like they didn't even kiss yet. Right?
No, they didn't at all.
Right. So at this point, it's just like like obviously the sparks flying, but nothing happened. So she has to think about it. Like, my dream job or this guy who has been alone now, which is kind of strange. I mean, I know his wife died, but it's been 3 years and he seems like he comes across very jerky in the beginning about his military style of everything has to be done, planned, and
the time,
the timing. And, meanwhile, he's putting bologna and peanut butter and jelly. So he's clearly not a great father, and he's done it multiple times.
Dad, he put jelly on. Dad, you put jelly on my turkey sandwich.
Again. And she said again. So this is not the first time he's doing it. So, I mean, not for nothing. He's so worried about their rigid schedule, yet he can't even make a sandwich. How about he get off the phone and focus on his schedule, when he's dealing with his family. So, ridiculous.
I don't have the one. So I just looked at IMDb for like the tagline of the movie. It's not the same one for some reason that when you look, like when you just Google it, but it was like Harper, a world traveler, and it's like comes back home to Memphis. It's like she's this world traveler. Harper, you can just never settle down.
Okay, if you're a world traveler, wouldn't you have a big suitcase? She literally, her suitcase that she travels with was very small. And inside the suitcase, she had gifts. She had gifts inside the suitcase. She had picture frames inside there. So if you take all that out, how much clothes did she, because the clothes she wore were very glamorous, were very it wasn't just like a shirt and pants, like it had the scarf, the sweater, so she had a lot of outfits. They're not fitting in that suitcase.
And it had the stickers just so we knew, even though they told us she's a world traveler, just in case we forgot. Here's the Eiffel Tower sticker on it.
Does anyone do that?
Yeah, let's just make sure we let them know.
Does anyone do that? Like I go to airport a lot. I don't think I've ever seen anyone have stickers all over their suitcase.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen anybody with sticker. Yeah,
right. And it's
you have a passport for that.
It's correct. Or it's like a car that has 1,000 bumper stickers. Why are you going to ruin the car? Why are you going to ruin your suitcase? So yeah,
I think that's mental illness. I always think that whenever I see somebody with that, I'm like, God, I hope they don't I don't rear end them, because then I have to talk to them and there's something going on in there. They have those
That is
ones at
true.
the concert you pay $1 and it's like 5 stickers and it's like a guy humping an ear and you're like, I don't know about that.
Did you
Like
ever
the
try
stick figure
taking?
one and it says like F it? It says F it, I think.
You ever try taking off a bumper sticker? They're not easy. Like it leaves, always leaves
it's
like the
impossible.
marks. Yeah. So why deface your? Yeah. I mean, yeah. I know.
Yeah, because the other area gets sun damage. And then when you take it off, it's like that part
It leaves
is like
that stain on
dark
there.
black.
Yeah.
And then you see the outline of the man or ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Oh my God,
to go back to that, I don't think anyone does that. But she had to show that every place that she's gone to. I mean, think about it. If she's a world traveler and she's still doing that, I mean, eventually that whole suitcase is going to be like just stickers all over the place. How cheesy would that look?
Yeah. Very cheesy.
Okay.
So when they get again, we're bouncing all over the place. But when she finally when she goes to see her sister for the first time, how creepy is Steve? Again, I feel like this movie, like the actors that got the roles in really, who has the most lines? It's Harper, Owen, the sister. But I feel like these side characters, like they go nuts. Like when they get a chance, like Steve.
Well,
Come on, let me
look
get
at
a
Harper.
hug.
Look at Harper. I mean,
It's true. Yeah.
I mean, she was pretty good looking. And like you said before, I'm surprised she wasn't in bigger things. I mean,
Yeah.
I
only
think I looked
3
up
years. This came out 19. So maybe she's in a bunch. Maybe she just like runs the Hallmark,
but nothing
gamut.
big
I don't
though.
know.
Like I don't think anything. Maybe she's like the. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, he is a creep though. And meanwhile, Steve's wife is good looking too. Like
Yeah.
they look like sisters. Like so.
Yeah. No, they definitely did. So again, they go to Graceland. She wants to go there. She sees her friend who used to be her boss, and obviously Priscilla Presley was her boss. But her friend's like, well, yeah, I'm swamped. I'm trying to do this Elvis exhibit. And you know what? There's this family here. We're going to do a private tour. She's like, I'll help you out. They can come around with me and the kids. And it's like, wait, what? You're supposed to send down your nieces? Oh, no, it's okay. I'm just going to blow them off and have these other strangers join us on this tour.
Okay. And not only that, I mean, first of all, and it was like early, like it was light out and everything else. The tour didn't end till it was like pitch black. It was like nighttime.
It was so dark afterwards.
She was with those kids. Like, first of all, how bored were those kids? Because they were young. Like, there's no way they enjoyed that tour. Like, I don't care. It'd be one thing if it was like a dinosaur museum, but this was an Elvis, whatever, they were doing. Like, they want to see that tour. Like, and if they're doing an Elvis exhibit, don't you think, like, I feel like Priscilla would hire a much better like group of people to organize this. Like, how did the au pair get involved in this?
Well, she does that. That's her job.
Yeah, but
like, that's what she does for her job, like working at museums.
Wait, so that's why she came
up.
home to do that? She came home to do that?
No,
exhibit?
she came home to do an interview at a museum in Memphis.
Right.
And
That's what I
then
mean.
just
So,
said
but-
she happened to be there. Her old boss or friend was like, I can't figure this out. And she's like, oh, well, how about you do this and this and this? She's like, oh, that's a great idea.
Okay,
You
but
have
that's
to
my
help
point.
us.
So the company that Priscilla hired couldn't do the job that they were hired for? That they had reliance on that? Because what if she didn't decide, she decided to come back, to visit her sister, like, next holiday? Okay, so now what is her boss going to do? Like, like I would. Oh my gosh! I mean, this is Elvis we're talking about. Like, I would think like they would do the best. They would hire the best. And yeah, I mean, that was.
How about not
mistake
only do they do she does the exhibit, and then it's like, oh my gosh, this party is just like my party. I'm having in 4 days. Everything down to the nutcrackers on the table.
The music,
let's combine them. It's like, wait, this big exhibit, this big art thing, you're going to have that in the same room as a party? That would never happen.
Okay.
You wouldn't just be like, hey, let's set up this special gala, and we're going to have people, slobbing on a buffet next to it.
Well, first of all, these people don't slob. They have money. They have big money. So
They
But
can double
what-
it. I'll double it.
Okay, this seems like a very small town, in where they are, because clearly like everybody's going to both events. No, sorry.
Well, it's all people
Hold on.
part of the medical community.
Okay, so they're going to all 3 events. So
Mhm.
but still, it's the same people. So you're gonna tell me they happen to be the exact same night, the big exhibit, the Elvis? I mean, you would think like that could be like a good side thing. Like if all these medical people are in town to go to this night, whatever, we're like, you know what? Let's one night. Why don't we all go to the Elvis exhibit? Then we have our meeting the next day or something like that. Like it happens to be the same day. The
Yeah.
same people. Yeah. And not for nothing. What if these people aren't even Elvis fans? I mean, they're there to spend money. They're there
That
to
is true.
so like let's combine it. And like, what if a portion of them really? It seemed like it was only like 3 donors
Yeah.
that he talked to. But like, what if they really like had no desire or did not like Elvis at all? And now you're combining a very important event with an Elvis event.
Hey, I'm more of a Hootie and the Blowfish guy. You think you can play some Hootie over the top?
They should have had someone like, oh, you know what? I was going to donate, but if that's what you're doing, you're combining Elvis. I hate Elvis. I'm leaving. They don't even donate any money.
I don't help with your idea that is a sea of information that we can make it so everyone has easy access to it. To me, that just sounds like, every every hospital doctor's office is going to put all their information in one pool and somebody's going to pull for it. That sounds dangerous.
It sounds dangerous. And how do they make money on it? Because again, unless I'm misreading this, he did say we're going to deliver all this for free.
Yeah, I don't
So
understand that.
And after he said that, the donors are like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna double the original amount." Okay, so
Yeah.
you're paying for all this, but they're giving it away for free. So where are they making their money from, or how are they making their money?
Great question, because that made no sense to me. Because I'm thinking, okay, they're having
Okay.
this great idea. This is like a brand new invention, makes everything easy. So you're telling me the hospitals are going to be able to be more efficient and make more money, and then these guys it's going to be free?
Right? Yeah.
It just made
It would have been
sense.
it would have been better if like he had some kind of medical device that they were trying to sell or something. If they wanted to stay in the healthcare, something that you could see, something that's still going to save lives or whatever, make things easier. But like and again, clearly you're going to make money on it. But this was like just the idea of it alone. It was just so bizarre. And again, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Any of it, like, then what do they need the money for? Like, it seems like it's a lot of money. Like, what do they need the money
Yeah.
for? If it's all like internet technology stuff, it's not like it's equipment. So like, that's a lot of donors for what? To do what?
Somebody's got to pay for that mansion. Who else is paying for that mansion?
That is true.
Wouldn't you
That is
think
true.
a guy like that? Remember, you hear the stories about like Bezos. He was like, man, Amazon started in a garage. It's like, well, this guy's starting in a mansion. So he's already got a leg up on Bezos. If this idea works out, he could be the next Bezos. But
the only thing I could think of is the wife passed away. Maybe she was the money bag.
She was loaded?
She left all the money.
see, make that part of the story. So here's what
He's got a startup company,
Uh-huh.
and he needs the money. And because that's how it should have been.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Yeah, it would be something for that. But again, the au pair part. So again, she runs the tour. Owen leaves the kids, and he's like, "I'll see you in exactly 1 hour." And that's when we meet. We finally I think in the you have 12 minutes to find your socks so we can get out the door. Like that's his thing the whole time. But when he sees her after he meets with the woman to figure out the party, remember it was like 4 elements of a party. Oh, what kind of music? Classical. Oh, we'll put nutcracks on the table. Like all these silly things. And then that's when, oh my God, the kids had a great time. These are, like you said, the nicest kids in the world. They wouldn't have a bad time anywhere. And then her friend is like, oh, they're looking for a nanny. And she's like, and the guy's like, oh, if you're thinking about it. And I'm like, why would she even think about it? No reason.
Because she would have slept on the couch at her sister's house.
But that's not good. You know what they should have done? This would have been the easiest thing because it would have solved two things. It would have been, hey, she either owes something, which I don't know about that. It would have been more like, hey, if I do get this job in London, I'll have to, to be able to move. It's going to cost about $20,000, and I don't have that. And let's say this au pair thing,
Right.
just have it not
you're
even
right.
be the exact
Have some
amount,
kind of number. No, some kind of
something.
number. Yeah,
But
I
the
know,
fact
I
that there
know.
was no money mentioned ever in this movie, like, oh, do you want to do this thing, run this tour? Oh yeah, sure. Okay, that's a friend thing. But oh, do you want to design this whole thing? Oh, it's on the house. So the friend is getting paid, the other lady's getting nothing while she's working 40 hours a week just being a nanny. And what is going on?
She seems to be working harder than the guy. Like
She
she's
is,
like
yeah.
working. She really. I mean, and yeah. I mean, I you know what? I didn't even think about it when watching the movie. You're right. I mean, because it makes no sense why she's accepting all these jobs and she has stress of interviewing. Like, how does she have time to even interview for this other company twice? The big interview. Well, I mean, interviews inside the museum, but like she's
it's a
watching
5-minute interview. It could be like going to a coffee.
And let's be honest, he literally throws his kids to her to do everything, like everything. You know, the only thing she doesn't do is I think drive them to school. I think he still did that.
He does
Outside
do
of
the
that,
driving, yeah.
But outside of that, he literally, and it's funny. You mentioned the socks before. I think the kids do that on purpose. Because it seems like there was like twice that she didn't have socks. She only had her socks on. She's taking her time because they're probably they know how anal the father is.
Mm-hmm.
And because there didn't seem like there'd be any problem with the nanny at all. Like they were like they did everything again, perfect. I mean, like it
Mom
was ridiculous.
probably like that. Mom was maybe a free spirit or something, and then that's how they mesh. Because even when we find out, like, oh, what about your nanny? Remember his buddy on the FaceTime when he's putting the jelly on the turkey sandwich? Again, like you were saying, and it was like, oh, where's your nanny? It's like, oh, she's on vacation. And it's like, oh, what about your backup? Oh, she can't do it. And it's like, oh, man, we're in this pickle. Like, we need this. But what does he need? It seems like he's pretty available. There's like 5 people in the office. His buddy is the guy that does all the tech shit. And he is the one that I guess is supposed to be the good speaker. Guess what? Not a good speaker.
No. And let's be honest, the kids are old. Like, I mean, like they didn't need a nanny. Like, I mean, the girl was older, so she could have made the sandwiches. Like, so like they made it like he has his hands so full. Really, like the kids are old enough that if just for a week, if he needed a week off because the nanny was away, he could have dealt with it, and it would have been fine.
It's like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Right?
Like, love Mrs. Doubtfire. Those kids are old enough.
Correct.
They didn't need an old British woman in the house.
100%. Maybe the little girl, but even then, you had the 2 siblings that could have done it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and not to mention, like, the nanny was only going away for a week. So this girl's the what's her name?
Harper.
She's gonna come in there just for a week. Like, he made it sound like, we need a nanny for like the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
It was only for
2 weeks.
So the original nanny was not going to be there anymore.
Yeah. Oh, now she's fired. Could you imagine the third version of this movie? It's a thriller, and it's about the nanny who's back from like a vacation in Paris. She comes back and she's trying to murder Harper because that was her bread. They don't need a nanny anymore unless Harper is like, okay, sea of information guy who got double the donor money. I'm not working.
Let's be honest. Even if the other nanny was really good, clearly these kids were excited for Harper to meet their dad.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie, they were trying. So just that alone, even if the other nanny was the best, and she could have been there for 15 years, she's getting fired. I mean, you have Harper standing right there. I mean, like, the nanny comes back, and she's probably probably looks like Mrs. Doubtfire. And now you got Harper standing there, opening the door. She probably goes, all right, she probably quit right there. She probably didn't even, come back. I mean, because clearly, like, the kids were not like the minute they saw her, they attached to her right away.
They loved her
as a mom. That's ridiculous. So yeah,
that would be really great if the nanny would come home. Who is this? Who has the stickers on their suitcase? Is there a woman here? Or what if he was shipping the nanny?
Yeesh.
Could you
You
imagine
know
that?
what? It sounds like he wasn't snooping anyone for a long time.
He was very strict. But it was like
He
a
was very
recent
strict.
death. Do you remember the line after she finds out when her friend goes, yeah, her wife just, his wife died a few years ago. And she looks at him and she goes, Christmas must be especially tough. I'm like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
She said that to his face. It's like,
She's,
wow.
you know what? She was very bold in a lot of things she said to him, you
Mhm.
know, and you know what? He took everything. I mean, how many times, like when she said, you know what your kids really want? They want a father who's going to spend time with them.
Oh,
like,
I know.
I mean,
those
you know,
are
like,
the memories that they, yeah.
Yeah. Now, in a non-Hallmark universe, he probably would have been offended by that, you know. But here he goes, you know what? You're right. Like there was no conflict about it. Like he immediately agreed. Like it wasn't like, you know, like he said, you know, listen, I got a job to do. I'm a single dad. I got, you know, like he was like, yeah, maybe I should spend more time with them. Like literally, there's no conflict at all. Everybody's in such agreement on everything.
And it wasn't like he pushed back a lot because they were like the opposite attracts. Because he even said like, hey, I don't want these kids to stay on schedule. Follow the, you know, the calendar and the iPad. But he gave in very quick. It was probably like maybe the second day. He was like, hey, maybe we'll just go to so-and-so, you know, maybe just wing it, right? Am I winging it?
He caved right away. He came in hard, but he caved right away. Like she, you know, she took over. She literally took over real quick. I mean, again, if you're a nanny, even if you've never nannied before, those are the easiest kids to ever nanny.
Oh,
I mean,
my
like,
God, yeah, they'd be self-sufficient.
I mean, again, I don't think I've ever seen a movie where you have siblings. There's not one that you don't get along, like they don't get along with the others. Like not one outing, not one, like they listened. They were so good with each other. They literally liked each other. Like that doesn't happen. That's not in real life. It doesn't happen. There's no, you know, but in Hallmark it does.
Yeah. And I wrote again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like not even the money part that we didn't get. She seems like way too successful. Like we didn't know that she didn't have money. Like she could have stayed at a hotel. She grew up there. She probably has other friends. Like the fact that she's going to a stranger's house and the fact that she puts up a family photo on the nightstand. At that point, I didn't know how long she was going to be there, but still, any time frame, that's like going to a hotel and putting up like nailing it, family photos.
And maybe I missed this, but has she nannied before or no?
No, she's a tour guide and works at museums.
Okay, right. Okay, so you have this, you know, very beautiful woman who's coming home from vacation, visiting her sister who she probably hasn't seen in a long time, and now she's spending all her time with a bunch of strangers.
Yeah,
and not visiting her sister. She sees her sister twice. Like that's all. And what single woman like her wants to be tied down to an automatic family for the entire stay
with
of her
no money
with
no money.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, he was probably giving them money to spend, but I mean, the point is like, that's how she wants to spend her vacation. Never. Clearly, she didn't. I mean, she's got to be at least in her late 30s, right?
Yeah.
30s, mid 30s. I mean, he's 40, whatever. So she doesn't have any boyfriend. She doesn't have any kids. And now she's stuck with like a suitcase of kids, washing dishes, vacuuming the house, you know, doing all these chores when she's on vacation and visiting her sister. Because if you're an au pair, you're spending all your time with the kids.
Yeah. But remember, she does regret it when she's on the phone with her sister. She's like, oh, I feel like I haven't seen the nieces that minute here. It's like, yeah, you haven't. You took a job,
but
like a full-time
But
job.
at the same time, though, the sister was just as excited as his kids because she saw potential in her which, like, she seems like the nicest woman. She seems hardworking. She seems intelligent. She's talented. Why doesn't she have a boyfriend? Like,
she's a world traveler. Nobody can hold her down.
So her sister thinks this guy's gonna hold. Well, which I guess it does. Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's. So you think the concern is that she can finally find someone that will make her stay in one place? So her sister, because her sister was also, she never met this guy, and she was pushing for him, like to be with him.
Yeah.
So again, that's kind of odd too. Like the sister doesn't know who this person is. Like, you know, like it's just like. But when you live in a Hallmark universe everybody's nice. Everybody is perfect. So how bad can he really be?
Well, he did say a couple of lines, like when he was talking to his buddy in the office, his like partner, he says, I just hope she's as organized as I need her to be. The kids can't have any variables. And it's like, wait, you hired this woman after one tour and you're asking for so much? This is your third option. It's like your Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And
This is
then,
you're so lucky to have her.
yes, you would have nothing. And then when they're talking, remember when it's like, oh, guys, we're supposed to like make presents for grandma and grandpa, like mail them out. And it's like, instead of doing that in chores, how about we bake? And they're baking. Owen comes back. And do you remember how great it's like psychotic?
Oh, yeah.
He goes, they'll only enjoy Christmas if they follow the plan. That's something.
Wait, listen, this might explain why he's been single for 3 years.
That's true.
I mean, it's a lot to take, but she even said herself, she's been single for a while too. Like she doesn't date.
She has been, yeah.
So interesting.
But she was all about dishes right away. Like after he was like kind of a prick, she's like, oh, don't worry. She's like, oh, don't worry. I'll take care of all of this. He's like, okay. And he like walked away.
You know what?
Wow.
And again, this also might be why he's single for 3 years, because how oblivious is he with this woman who is in his house, taking care of his kid, like literally like the next best thing that he could ever find outside of his original wife. Like she's doing everything. She's like perfect. And he's like, he's like seeing past it. Like she's literally right. And you can see like she's waiting for him to like show a little interest. And he's just like so oblivious to it. Like, really? Like,
yeah, they didn't make eyes at each other until I think it was the next night. They did something as a family. I think that's when he was like, hey, how
they
about
went
we just wing
they
it?
went sledding, right? They went sledding. Was it the sledding?
Is that when they made eyes? There was like this one moment they both looked at each other for like 2 seconds. You're
But
like,
she was
okay.
looking before then a little bit. You could see there was something, she's dealing with the kids, but he just like looked past her. Like he looked at her as a nanny. Like he looked at her as if she looked like Mrs. Doubtfire. That's how he was looking at her.
Yeah. I think it was when they went to get the tree. Remember, she wasn't going to go, and they're like, come on, Harper, you have to come. It's like day 2. And you remember his line? Right. He's like, guys, we gotta go. We only have 58 minutes to go. And it's like, wow.
He's like Clark Griswold.
Right? Oh my God, dude.
Wasn't he on like always on a schedule? Like, wasn't he like on with everything?
He was always, hey, let's get going. Yeah, no, always. And then even when they're there, they had this heartfelt moment. I think it was right after they made the eyes at each other. And she goes, I really want to bring the kids to see the exhibit I'm working on. And he goes, I don't know, they're pretty books.
You know what? These kids look like they get straight A's. I mean,
yeah, I know.
They look like they're so well behaved.
They should be able to do whatever.
100%. Like he seems like he's worried that if they don't do this, they're gonna fall off the track. Like they're gonna get in real big trouble. First of all, the
drugs. If they miss an appointment, they're gonna turn to drugs.
Were there, outside of the sisters' kids, were there any other kids there?
No. There wasn't a lot of extras in this movie. The extras were only at the gala. Other than that, even at Graceland, there was no like extras. In the museum, maybe a couple. There wasn't a lot of not at all. I wrote down, did his wife die by appointment calendar?
You know what? I was gonna say, maybe she just died because she couldn't deal with him anymore. she just ran off. And she ran off. Like she starved herself. I mean, he's a little too anal. But it's funny. You could tell that Harper doesn't have a lot of experience with kids because she wants to bring them back to the boring museum that they already saw the day before.
Yeah.
And they were there for like 8 hours. So, I want to show them the exhibit. Like, what? These kids are young. Do you think they care about Elvis? Like, it'd be one thing if they said, here's the museum.
Who he is. I guess they do because they live in Memphis. You have to know. But yeah, no, really boring for kids. Nothing fun is there.
You're right. So they know who he is, which means that they hear about Elvis all the time. So they should be excited about going to an Elvis museum when they're.
That's true.
You probably can't go to a supermarket in that area without seeing pictures of Elvis, hearing Elvis songs. It's like really, like there's probably Elvis everywhere. So these kids, the last thing they want to do is go to an Elvis exhibit. They live in an Elvis exhibit.
Yeah, that's their town everywhere. Yeah, you're right. The speakers are everywhere, and they're just playing like on. You ain't none but a hound dog. It's like I need to escape.
it's nonstop Elvis music. I mean, it's got to be, So I mean, okay.
Oh my God. So now they're at this point is when they do like they want to decorate the tree. They get the tree in the house. They want to decorate it. He has to make like 2 calls, and then we get like a montage of them doing the decorations. And during it, she's like really happy looking at the kids, and then she looks over at the photo of the dead wife, and like looks at it for like way too long.
Yeah, that was a little weird. That was awkward. And I don't know too many movies that have like a montage and then immediately another montage on top of the montage that they had. And it happens, I think, twice in this movie that they literally like had a montage and then they sing another song and then there's a montage. Like, I mean, the minute I started hearing the music again, I'm like, oh, like, here we go.
They're gonna sing.
Like,
I wrote, are they professional singers? No one's like really terrible.
And wait, I don't know anyone that's excited to sing Christmas carols. Like I love Christmas. And I don't think I've ever sang a Christmas carol ever, unless I was forced to, like in 4th grade. Like, like these kids, any moment they can, they're singing Christmas carols. I know this one, and they started singing it. Like when that was the one scene, it was just like, yeah. I mean, I want to meet a family that's as happy and excited as this family.
Not a
like,
thing.
Like it. Ridiculous.
To be like so jolly and singing. And how about Owen? He was done with his call. He heard them singing. He looked at the door and then didn't go. And I'm like, at first I thought, was he pissed because it was past their bedtime or something?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know about pissed. He was probably annoyed because, like if you have someone that has such a strict schedule and you veer from it a little bit, they don't know how to handle themselves. Right? Yeah. It's because they're so used to that schedule. So he was probably very annoyed with that. But again, because it's Hallmark, there's no anger. Like it's literally, like there's no anger. I don't think anyone in this movie was angry at any time. Even when like they really shared a moment at the end, like and the thing in any other movie, he would have been like, you're just gonna leave me? Like, we just started connecting. There wasn't even like he was like, no, you're right. You should take it. Go ahead. Like there was no anger.
I know.
So
yeah.
So I think like even as him, like that's why he was so giving in this movie of off his schedule, and because maybe Hallmark's not allowed to have anger in their clauses. Like, all right, you can have sadness, some sadness, and some definitely happy, but there's not allowed to have any anger. It's like the 80s rule of boobs. 80s,
yeah.
Here,
no anger in Hallmark. Yeah,
no,
happy
no
Hallmark. And the only anger, it wasn't even anger, was him like, you got to stick to the schedule. They're only going to be happy. But even at this point, we're probably like maybe halfway through. She's about to get the second interview. And at this point, it's like he's already changing. When she says the line you mentioned before, which is kind of like, wow, that would really like cut you deep.
Yeah. Hey,
your kid just want to hang out with you. And it's like, oh man. And then he's like, all right, cool, let's do it. I'm like, wait, what?
Well, she keeps throwing different jabs at him. So she also said, didn't she say something like, one of the favorite things I like to do at Christmas time is put on onesie pajamas or something like that and sit around a fire. Like she said something like that, with the family. Again, like I think she jabbed at him about spending time with the family a few times. So like, and again, like you can eat like in a normal movie, he'd be like, again, I have to work. Who's going to pay these bills? I can't just sit around and do. And he's like, yeah, that's right.
That would work. Like if this movie was rewritten as like a 80s comedy, like a 90s kind of comedy, that would be the thing. The guy would be like a real like hothead. He wouldn't be like something for medical. It'd be like maybe it was medical, but it was like something that had to get done, or like you said, like some kind of like invention for something like, oh, this is a new like heart thing. But no, it was just like, yeah, okay.
Well, think about it. If this was like a real movie, she all she's been doing is doing fun and games. Like she's been there. It's like she's got camp. She's cooking. I think they did a puzzle. She's going sledding. They go to a museum. So like the fact that she has the nerve to tell a guy who's got to work to pay bills, hey, you got to take a step back and do, spend time with your family. Like she hasn't done anything but like play games.
And she's in the guest house. Would you be like, oh, okay, do you want to pay for the guest house and the big house? Is that what you want to do? And Maggie, the sister, is when this is when he's loosening up already because they're going sledding. And he goes, "Hey kids, the faster you go, the safer it is." And the kid's like, oh. And then Maggie, he goes, "Oh, I can't do." I remember what it was. They were gonna do something. "Oh, I got this fundraiser." Oh yeah, Maggie invited him over with the kids. She barely knows him. "Oh, we're gonna watch movies and make cookies." And he's like, "Oh, I have this thing tomorrow night, this fundraiser." And she's like, "Oh, why don't you go, Harper?" And she like set up the date with Owen. So she was already like, let's force them together.
Oh,
like
100% she was. Yeah. But it's, even the sledding, not one kid wiped out.
no, there was nothing, and there was no other kids. It was a hill with just 5 people.
Well, it's a probably, again, a small town, but like you can't have that's controversy. If you wipe out, that's bad. That's bad stuff. You can't have that in Hallmark. So everything has to be perfect. Everything was perfect, So yeah.
And Harper at this point,
ridiculous.
I don't know how many days it's been that she's been watching the kids. When the kids get dropped off, and she's getting ready like at her sister's, and Owen's there to pick her up. She did like tips on each kid. Yeah, so and so, they'll tell you when they're tired. Or they'll tell you when they're hungry. It's like, okay, like you've done this for a few days. Like you don't know everything about this kid that you're out to give advice or give heads up to your sister.
100%.
They're great kids. Let them sit there.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And once again, he's allowing a stranger to watch his kids again because he doesn't know Maggie. So just because it's Harper's sister, she could be a psychopath.
She could be.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Steve,
yeah, stay there.
Steve makes me nervous.
Yeah. Right.
And where were Steve's parents?
That was the big deal, right? Because he said we're going to be crowded.
They were coming a week early, so you're going to have to stay on the couch for like 2 weeks or whatever. It's like, wait.
They never showed up.
Even there.
They were in the same storm. They were in the same storm as the country guy.
Yeah. Isn't that ridiculous? The crux that made this movie roll, like the big turning point, we didn't meet them. It could have been like, "Oh, hi, Steve's. Hi, so-and-so."
Yeah.
Nothing. They weren't even at the house at all. They should have been there baking cookies.
So ridiculous. See, that's the biggest conflict. We never saw Steve's family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they are all pairing for someone.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So silly.
Ridiculous.
So they go to the Peabody Hotel, which from the outside looks trashy. We go inside. We talked about this a little bit already. All the picks he did out of his like 4 choices for the party were all the ones at this party, and he was having this like a few days later. So she offers to help him out, and then she has that idea of, "Hey, let's combine everything." And then at the same time,
what are the odds? Because he was very specific, and he said the music is the same.
Classical.
Yeah. The plates. He said the silverware or the plates are the same. You're telling me they happen to choose. There was only how many options did you have for plate or whatever? That the same food, like everything was the same. Like there was no other options. Like it had to be the exact same. Or is that the only options?
Play the lottery.
Only catering company.
Yeah,
There's the only catering company in town. So they only have one style, and this is what it is: one DJ and one catering.
Classical and the Nutcracker in the middle. Like when the lady explains that, "Oh yeah, and I'll have the Nutcracker as the centerpiece," it was like, ooh, that screams double donations.
So you're telling me that, okay, so I get it for that party. So he also thought of the Nutcrackers for his party?
Because it's Christmas themed. It's around the holidays, so he's like, "Hey, let's make it festive."
I don't think I've ever seen Nutcrackers. I don't go to too many donating banquets, but
Nutcracker to me isn't something that's very welcoming. It's a very frightening looking thing, and and what it really is like crazy. Just for cracking walnuts, they made this fancy thing, and it's like, oh, okay, this is like you think celebrate it.
And if you think about it, it's usually like the big, like the ones that like you don't really use. It's like a soldier, right? It's like a wooden soldier, and you're putting the nut by his junk. So you're cracking his nuts.
No, you're putting it by his mouth.
No, I've seen him in the bottom where he's standing. He's standing at the top. You haven't seen those.
No, you put your nut where his nut is.
Isn't that? That's why it's called a nutcracker.
Not his nuts. the nut that you're giving him. I mean, a lot of that could be taken so out of context, but I'm running with it. So the kids were baking cookies when now they get back from there after they're talking about their dating history. It's been so hard for both of them, right?
How many cookies are they making? Because this is like the third time they've been making cookies. So like they made a lot of cookies throughout the whole movie.
They did, yeah, and they even left a cookie decorating kit because Steve brought the kids home, or Maggie brought the kids home, and there was
that's for Steve's parents. So because they didn't make them.
It is silly that they're not in this movie. Oh my gosh, man. So at this point, I think they're full smitten at this point. We get another montage. It's Owen spending more time with the kids and his buddy. How about his buddy, like when he's talking about the office during the montage, and he like looks down at his phone and it's like Harper, and he's just like, the buddy's like, he's getting angry that this guy that he said to let loose, because the buddy was supposed to be kind of goofy. Again, I think this movie, like, even if it was like a B comedy, like a straight to Tubi or straight to Prime or one of those, you could have had a really good guy in that role, because that guy had an opportunity to be really silly. The guy did what he could with the lines, but it was just like, he wasn't like, because a lot of his thing was like, hey man, I'm the tech guy, you're the talker. I can't talk to these donors.
No, 100%. And I think also when he saw Harper, I think he realized that, because I don't think there were any really single people in town, and maybe which is why he also might be
that's true,
single. So he's probably annoyed, like, oh, my only like bachelor friend, and now he's gonna be gone. I'm gonna be like the only loser in town that doesn't have a girlfriend. That's
just
what I'm
me.
thinking he's thinking.
Yeah.
By the way, I only wrote down one line in this movie, and it was way in the beginning when he was I was just looking at my notes and I saw it. When he was telling her, about all the details about taking care of the kids, he said to her, he goes, about making lunch, he says, everything you need for lunch, it's in the fridge.
Yeah.
Opposed to where else they would be. It's
I thought it was gonna be the tool shed, you moron. Like, come on.
When I heard that, I was like, what? That was so that's a weird line.
Unreal.
Like, it was just
I know.
Right. I needed to go back to that one. That was a good line.
That's great. No, thank you. And no, that was a good one. So they do the montage, and then this is when they show up and they're at oh, I knew you didn't get. Oh, I hear you didn't get decorated tree, and it was Priscilla Presley. And it's like they're gonna decorate Elvis's tree.
Well,
that's something.
She, you know what she said to go there? She goes, can we stop at the mansion?
Yeah,
is what she said. So I guess that's like, so she has that close a relationship with Priscilla to go right up to the front door, knock, and come in and decorate Elvis's tree.
Yeah, and it seemed like she waited that long. Priscilla waited that long.
Right.
A few days before, it seems.
It looks like Christmas is going to happen any day. I mean, the way the snow is, the way everything's decorated, and Priscilla hasn't done anything yet.
It's funny you mentioned it has snowed every day. I feel
every
like
day.
There's always the whole movie has snow on the ground.
This is not Graceland. I mean, like, and I Googled it because I'm like, it just didn't make sense. I've never been there, but I don't think they get a lot of snow. And so I said, the snow in Graceland. He goes, it can. It's just not common. It doesn't happen a lot.
It can.
It's just, it does, but not that amount. I mean, that was like New Jersey snow. That was a Jersey snowfall. That's been like a couple of hard snowfalls. That's not happening in Graceland.
One
but
thing
it wouldn't be a perfect
true.
Christmas. What?
Oh, yeah. No, the whole, like, when Priscilla's explaining the ornaments, like, I would love if that's true. Like, when people would visit, they would bring Elvis loved Christmas, so they bring an ornament. And it's like, you had to think of all those famous people from that era, like, hey, you come to a party. And it's like, you have to give an ornament at the door. And there were like all these little trinket different things. I hope that's true, because that'd be a random thing to like say, like, hey, Priscilla, you're going to be in this movie, and we're going to make up this whole story about Elvis and getting ornaments from strangers. It's like, is that a thing?
I would think it's true. But you're running the risk of like, what if you start getting like a lot of like doubles and triples of the same exact ornament?
That's true. Well, you can't come in the party then. No matter
That's
how
true.
famous you are,
You got to be unique.
hey, come
You gotta be
on, you
unique.
got the one from the front of the aisle. You got to get some deep cuts, man.
Do you think she has Elvis music playing throughout the house all the time?
Could you imagine? Or he was like, even when I die, always hear me. And it's on a loop and she doesn't know where the switch is.
It's probably in the will. You could keep the house. I'm going to give you everything, but you must have my loop of Elvis songs always. All right.
She's sleeping with earplugs or headphones. She takes them out. It's like, we're caught in a trap.
You see her like banging, like trying to break it, and it's like it's coming from somewhere else. Then like he has it all set up where like that'd be a horror movie. Like she just can't
that'd be like a
get away
Jordan
from
Peele horror movie. Like that'd be like Get Out, but like it's Elvis. That'd be a good one. And how about the tinsel tossing? Oh yeah, I like to do it like this. I do it like and they're like, I'm like, is that a thing? Tossing the tinsel? And the fact that she explained Elvis, I did it perfect. And Elvis came in, he threw it in the air and said, oh, now it's done. And it's like, sounds like an asshole move.
Think about it. Every person that comes there, they're like, we get it. You know Elvis. You dated him. All right. Like she names drop Elvis all the time. Okay, we get it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the tinsel lands perfectly.
Perfect.
Ridiculous.
Oh, man. So then right after this is when Owen is like, now he's like all about her, right? Because that's when he interrupts, like the sisters are talking. He walks up and like asks her, hey, would you want to be my official date or my date officially for the gala? And she's like, yeah. And then it's like this whole thing. She's kind of nervous. And this is the first time we really actually see her. She was obviously smitten and like into him. This is the first time when she was talking about the job. Remember she got the phone call and we only heard like the one side of the conversation.
Correct.
It was like,
correct.
Oh man.
This is the first conflict and there's like maybe 15 minutes left in the movie.
Oh,
and now the conflict came. And this is, and the crazy thing is she didn't sing yet, right? So she had to sing knowing that she's going to London.
I know. Yeah,
you know what? At this point,
that's just crazy.
She was planning on going to London at this point. So like, yeah, I mean, there's no way she would be able to compose herself the way she was feeling. Like, yeah, I mean, listen, in reality, it's been 2 weeks. I mean, there should not be a question. I mean, her staying back, unless she's like, listen, I can go to London and work my ass off and, have a dream job or never have to work again.
Yeah. This dweeb's got a dream house. He's got a guest house. I can have parties all the time.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'll be an au pair. I mean, if I can live in a house like that and get everything like, yeah. So.
Oh, and you can time manage my life if I get to live in that big house with a pool. That's cool. But so they had the gala. He wings the speech when he looks out to her because she's trying to get his attention. And at that point, she already knows she has the job.
No, I don't think
not
she
during
was
the speech.
No. I think
Okay.
what happened was like she was just showing emotion. Like you could see like she wasn't her happy self. So she had like a conflicting like face on her and he noticed she didn't look right or something. And I think, so I think that kind of got his like emotions going to give an emotional speech instead of reading that, computerized, scheduled kind of speech. But I also think this might have been the start of her saying, am I making the right choice? After that warming speech that he gave.
Yeah. Yeah, because she gets like, so I guess it was right after that speech when he has to do that. Remember, because he has to do the speech early?
Yes.
Because the guy's coming late and he's like, okay, I guess I'll do the speech. I'll do the speech. You're right. Yeah. And then that's when the lady from the museum called. Oh, no. It was that.
No.
Yeah, lady from the museum.
No.
No.
The ladies, it was before the speech. Because he was looking at her and she was already spoke to
that's
a woman.
That's what I meant. Yeah, no, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, she walked up to him. Oh, this is great. It's your job if you want it. And she didn't seem too happy. Like when she was like, okay, great, I'll call you.
She was shocked.
Okay.
I think she was shocked that she actually was offered the job and now reality hit in that, all right, yeah, now it's real. But you got these big donors that are there and he has a well-prepared speech. You think they care about a caring, heartwarming speech about family and all that stuff? Like these donors just want to, you know, like make sure that money's going to the right place. You know, like for the right thing. I don't think a soft speech like he gave would make the donors want to give more.
Yeah. And maybe it's a Hallmark thing. Donors, right? This is a B movie or like not a B movie, but you know what I mean? Like this is like a legit written like
It's a B movie.
like a comedy movie, like a dramedy. Like this or a rom-com. This would have been, oh, it's venture capitalists looking to invest and make money. Like these are all like good people that were like, yeah, I'll double it. Like it's not like some rich guy that's like, hey, I'll double it to 400K, but my return's gonna be this.
Correct.
It was like all this,
Correct.
like
and they were
good.
hesitant about it. They were hesitant about it before he gave that speech. So to me, seeing a guy get emotional like that, I'd be a little worried. Like, all right, so like, what happens when pressure comes on? Is this guy gonna crack it and not be able to sell the product or whatever he's doing? Like, so I think like it should backfire. Like you want to hear a very intelligent, where my money is going. Like, you know, if you're donating a lot of money, not I'm going to double my money now because it was so heartwarming, and that I think, you know, you did the right thing.
And I think you just nailed. Well, you know why? You just said it yourself. Whatever he's selling, they don't even know. He's not. I don't because that's how his how his speech started. He did the whole like, you know, it's an ocean of information, and then he looked at her, and she was like, giving like this look, and he's like, you know, I had a prepared speech, and he went into like one of those things. It was like 3 minutes, and everybody was clapping. It's like, oh.
But you know what though? I'm picturing the donors go like this. All right. They're like getting excited. We're finally gonna know what he's selling, and he starts his speech, and then he switches it. They're like, oh,
we just want the nuts and bolts, man. We don't need to know anything about you or how you feel,
and we still don't know what he's selling.
Yeah. So the first song that they sing, because it was like the singer is late, and I wrote, so Harper had to do it with the kids. There's not one local. It's Memphis.
Oh, okay.
There's not one local. Hey, you know what? So and so. Oh yeah, you played at the museum last week. Can you come over here? No. Harper, the au pair extraordinaire, has to do it.
And the kids know the same song that she's singing.
Well, Blue Christmas, you live in Memphis. You probably have to read that. You learn in school. Each grade level is an Elvis album.
I don't know if they're going to know Blue Christmas, but.
No, right. Blue Christmas is what the country guy sang.
No,
their
I'm talking about the
was home.
No.
Their song was Home for the Holidays.
I didn't know that song. You knew that song?
I don't know all of it, but I know the chorus of it. But I'm like, it wasn't I'll Be Home for the.
It was I'll Be Home for the Holidays. That's the song.
Yeah, Home for the Holidays was the song.
I did not recognize it.
And the country guy was there for Blue Christmas because that's when she was like kind of emotional when she was looking at him, and he was like, "Guys, let me take this." And the guy, I wonder if he was a real like legit country guy, because he was like, "Let me take this real quick," and he's like doing this solo. But I love that he arrived at one song late.
And he only sang one song.
And he didn't have a cell phone?
He only sang one song, and that's it. So the guy traveled for who knows how long. But I have to admit something, and this is why I didn't know the songs. I fast forwarded those parts. The minute they started singing, I'm like, I'm not watching another montage, and I fast forwarded that. And then when he literally sang right after, like it was there was no break. So you're talking about like an average song is what, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. So that's 6 minutes of movie time that we had to sit through.
Oh my God, yeah. And then right from there, this is like the end of the movie. Oh, and again, at this point, I'm like, all right, it's an hour and 10 minutes. Obviously, like 10 minutes credits, so maybe 8 minutes left. I thought we were gonna get one of those like, oh, they said I have to leave right after Christmas. I'm thinking, oh, you know what's gonna happen? It's gonna be the airport scene. She's gonna get ready to go to the plane. He's gonna be chasing after it. Nothing like that. Not even close to it.
Nothing.
His line just says, "Are you gonna take the job?" And she's like, "I have to." And he's like,
100%.
Congratulations. And he's like shaking his head at her.
And that's right after he gave the speech of, I've never felt like this in so long, and like, you know, like, but you nailed it. Like she should have left to go to the airport, and you see her on the way there, like contemplating if she made the right choice. Her kids are like, "Dad, go after her," you know, and then they jump in the car, you know, like, and do that. But no, it was like, that was a quick turnaround. She, you know, listen, she just was offered a job of a lifetime. She couldn't give it a day to think about. Like, it literally, like,
she
I mean,
called,
like,
seconds after she talked to her
Seconds?
sister and brother-in-law,
Correct.
they said, "Hey, you're not stoked about this." And then she's like, "Didn't it?" And she's like, "Oh, Allison? Hi, it's Harper." And then we cut away, and then that's when
Yeah.
Oh, and then how about Owen's buddy? He was like the voice of reason. He was like, "Hey man, what's wrong?" "Oh yeah, she's gonna leave." Because that's when he like leaves the donor. Remember, he bails on the donor,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"I'm gonna
yeah.
double it." And he's like not focused because he's just thinking about her. And the guy goes,
That's
"Hey buddy."
that's smart. The guy just said he's going to double your
I know.
so don't pay attention to him at all.
No, at all. And then the partner goes, "Hey buddy, you can't change, you can't control everything." And then right from there is when he leaves, finds Harper, and he says, "I don't want to lose you." And then it's like 2 weeks, we find out, 2 weeks watching the kids, and now her life's changed. His life's
Do you
changed. He
think-
said after a
do you-
day, "I can't believe I was going to, and I never thought I'd feel like this again." One day.
Well, it seems like she's also the only single woman in town. So
That is true.
he can't wait around for someone else to visit for, down the road because there's no one else around. But yeah, like, do you think that she was still leaving when he talked to her outside, and then his little Hallmark speech to her kind of changed her mind right there?
Yeah. And
Like-
the kids watching in the bushes.
Oh, well, they were creeping. They were definitely creeping. But like, so like, she should have said something like, "I've been waiting for you to say something like this." Like,
Mhm.
you showed no interest the entire movie. So like, like this entire time, I've been here for 2 weeks. I've been giving you all the signs. You showed no interest. I've been waiting to hear those words from you. Nothing. It was like, okay, I'll stay.
Yeah. And then his line was, "I think you just made our Christmas." And they start kissing, and the kids run out, and he's like, "Guys," that was like showing his time thing one more time. "Hey, remember when he used to be time strict? Oh, he's still kind of like it, but he's making a joke about it." He's like, "Guys, you didn't wait long enough." And it's like,
Now, okay, so they kissed for the first time after she just made this decision. What if like his breath was really bad, and now like in her, and he's a bad kisser, and in her mind she's like, "Did I just throw away my career for this?"
"Hey, Allison." And then the fact that she seemed like she must have had a blown out conversation with her, like long, because he was like, "Oh, what happened when you told her?" "I told her I'm not going to take the job. But if they want to consider me just to work in Memphis," I gave her a great sales pitch. It's like, you said that during the interview about the traveling. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, we need somebody settled in by January
Yeah.
1st. Now they're going to change their mind? No. You're
Yeah.
their
No, I
choice.
know.
So they basically blew everybody off.
And yeah, you know what? I was just thinking that. So all the other people that interviewed, they passed on. They basically made, and the minute they probably like told her, they probably like gave the email out or whatever. Listen, you know what? You did great, but we went with someone else. And now she basically screwed that company, the museum.
She did. She definitely did.
accepted-
But the other thing, for a job like that, it's probably very specific. It's not like for any other job. It's like, how many museums are there that you're
Okay.
interviewing for to live in London and have
Let's
Memphis
be honest.
your hometown?
She was the only person to interview for the job.
Could you imagine that? They're like, "You're the only person that is even remotely interested, but we got to do 3 rounds of
Why
interviews
are
in
they
very public
interviewing-
places."
Why are they interviewing someone from Memphis for a job in London? There's no one that lives near the museum?
The museum is in Memphis. Like,
Yes.
there's like sister museums. So they want
Correct.
somebody, I guess, that can travel back and forth, but anybody can do that.
Anyone can. But
Yeah.
so wouldn't you, isn't it easier to find someone that's local to the place that they're going to be stationed at, which is in another country, than
Very
to pick
true.
someone that, so, yeah.
And we never
Like I
talked
said, I
about,
think
is
she-
there a relocation fee? Are you giving her like 5-10 grand to move? Nothing was explained. She could have been making, it could have been an offer for nothing. And she was like, "Okay,
It could have been a
I'll take
volunteer job. She doesn't know.
it."
mean,
Knowing her,
all right.
probably.
I was going to say a lot of museums are like volunteer stuff. So imagine
are,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, and by the way, it's volunteer.
She's like, "I already did that as an au pair for 2 weeks. I don't care about money.
Oh my gosh.
Money doesn't
Ridiculous.
motivate me." But yeah, so that was Christmas at Graceland 2, home for the holidays, our first Christmas sequel. And I think we have a definitely one goodie that we're going to use, a possible hall pass on. We'll talk about that when we get closer to it. Jamie, obviously, I know you're not going to recommend this movie, so I'm going to ask you a different question. Did you ever watch the Kristen Wiig, Will Ferrell Like that was more of a Lifetime spoof. So I would love a Hallmark spoof, because the Lifetime one, it was like they acted like they took a script that was a Lifetime script and just added in crazier elements, but they acted like they were like legit doing it. I would love it for this type of movie, like a scary movie ish, but like a Hallmark movies. They're like, oh, who are you? Oh, I'm a Instagram something, and it's like, oh, what do you do at 1.7 million? They always have the jokes about like House Hunters International. It's like, what do you do? I'm a peanut butter sandwich maker. My budget's $7 million.
Or I invented the new peanut butter and bologna sandwich.
That would have been it. Like, oh, you have this thing that's going to be the sea of information, but you know what? The hottest trend was the daughter was on TikTok eating a turkey and jelly sandwich, and it became a phenomenon. That would have been funnier. Like, that would have been something I'd be like, you know what? They went for it.
Yes, anytime. Listen, if you can make fun of this movie and make it a movie, fine. But the movie was hard to watch, like, because when you have a movie when everything is perfect and there's just song after song and everything's perfect, like, what are you watching for? Like, you know how you obviously from the beginning to end, you know exactly what's going to happen throughout the whole movie. So the plot's already there. There's no conflict. I feel like every Hallmark movie is probably the same thing. You have this single guy, single woman. They have, they can't see the chemistry yet. It's right in front of their face, and they end up, falling in love. That's every single Hallmark movie. So I don't know how. Like, my wife loves them. I don't know how she watches them, because this is the first one and hopefully the only one I ever have to watch.
You should just ask her, are they formulaic like this? That
she asked me. She goes.
Conflict.
She asked me specifics about the bedrooms. Like, I bet you the bedrooms look like this, and this is how they were. She goes, because all the Hallmark movies probably use the same houses.
They filmed in the same house.
My guess is every Hallmark movie, they have mansions. Every Hallmark movie has a mansion. There's no way they're living in a 1-bedroom, like 2-bedroom ranch. They're living in mansions.
It's never like a trashy Hallmark movie. Everybody's like very put together, good jobs, safe to.
Everybody has money. Oh yeah, 100%. So yeah,
Hallmark movies, you can walk alone at night down an alley. It's fine. It's festive.
Okay, Hallmark movie. First of all, Hallmark, they don't have alleys in Hallmark movies.
Everything's very open and jolly and well lit. All parking lots well lit. Nothing. But yeah, no, man. So yeah, it was fun. Hey, we knocked it. We started the holidays early. We notched that in our belt. Our first Hallmark movie. It took us, 300 and almost 50 episodes in to get to it, but we did it. And next, we're gonna continue. There's a lot of fireworks, explosives, and this is a sequel that I remember seeing in the theater that truly jumped the shark. Live Free or Die Hard, Die Hard 4 for it. I talked to somebody that is from my hometown, went to high school with my parents, Mark Riccardi.
He has a great name.
Not related to Jamie. But yeah, we talked about his journey, from South Plainfield, doing like semi-pro football in Florida. And then he just knew a couple of guys. There was a guy, Irving Smith, then a guy named Dennis Madeline from South Plainfield as well, went out to California, and Mark went out there, connected with them. And then from some of his amazing stories, working like some canon films. But the cool thing was him getting the chance to double Travolta, them both being from New Jersey. Some really cool stories about that. Christian Slater story, which is so awesome, and lots more. And he does like comedy. He films. He has a show called Mama Luke, like a kind of mafia Italian base. So I'll put that in the episode notes for the interview next week. But now, really cool guy, really cool takes about being stunt coordinator and what goes into it, how he plans scenes. First time I ever had somebody describe it that way. The way it's done more in like the 2010s and the 2020s, like him actually putting together a reel for, hey director, this is how I wanted to do. But really cool movies that he's worked on in the last few years and throughout his career. Travolta, he was there for the run of the 90s, like the really like resurgence of Travolta when he was in his movies that he's most known for. Like think 80s Travolta. It's like, okay, what? Midnight Cowboy? Not Midnight Cowboy. What was the one?
Urban
Cowboy. There's not that much in the Look who's talking, but not like the big, like, oh man, Travolta could be an action star. Broken Arrow, like his stories that Howie
Face
Long,
Off, Broken Arrow,
Face Off, So that the Mark was in that run of it. I'll never forget my dad as a kid. We watch a movie, and we watch the credits, and he'd be like, "Oh, I know that guy," and it was pretty cool. So all these years later, 30 some odd years later, I interviewed him. It was definitely a treat. It was really special. So be tuned for that next week, and don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast, follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.